Okay. I'd like to begin the regular meeting of the governing body of the city of Blanco. We can start with roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Salcedo,
Here.
Councilmember McClellan,
Present.
Councilmember Smith,
Present.
Councilmember Lewis,
Present.
Councilmember Devine. Present. You have it?
I'll stand for president.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is called order. Announcements. I have no announcements this time. Public comments. We did have somebody that was planning on showing up, but he couldn't make it, so Mr. Friedman is not here, but do we have anybody else signed up?
Only Nick, but he's doing, he's better than us.
Anybody online? Nope. Nobody signed up, so we have nothing on public comments. So then we'll go to the consent agenda, and item number 1 would be approval of the minutes from August 11th, August 25th, and September 1st meetings. So in your packet, you should have the minutes.
Mayor Pro Tem, I make a motion that we approve the minutes for, August the 11th, 25th, and September the 1st as submitted.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. McClellan. Any conversation or?
No.
If not, all in favor? So then on the new business, we're going to change the order a little bit just because of the length of some of the items and the business we have. So we will start with item number 6, which is discuss and consider action on proclamation Hill Country Night Sky Month in the city of Blanco. It should be at the very back of your packet. Now, Chair Mr. Johnson, if you want to speak on a little bit on the purpose of this and.
Thank you very much. My name is Wayne Gardner. I'm the president of the Blanco County Students and we present this proclamation to you this afternoon. Basically, this is part of a Hill Country-wide effort to support the Hill Country Night Sky Month, which is the month of October. This council, over a good number of years, has been very supportive of night sky preservation and certainly appreciate it. Blanco has its application to become an international dark sky community pending right now before the International Dark Sky Association. This is a very difficult application to put together. It took us about 3 years working with the council all the way, and we are that close to getting it approved. This proclamation is in parallel to that application, and it's a 4-step. Basically, it talks about the beauty and wonder of the night sky, gives reasons to support it, and says we encourage all citizens of Blanco to support the night sky. Doesn't commit the council to do anything, doesn't cost anything, it's simply a proclamation.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Any questions for Mr. Governor? Any questions?
Well, I not even understand, Mr. Johnson. I just wanted you to know that, or at least I support you because you've done a lot of hard work over the years to make this night sky happen, and I support you as much as I possibly can. So I really don't have any questions other than to say thank you for your support.
I have one question. I know since we remodeled the bank here, I noticed that parking lot is real wide. Is that, they're probably compliant with nice guy,
Which parking lot is it?
the blank book.
Texas Regional.
It's kind of,
It's a little glaring.
If they had, and we had a conversation with them, at the design stage of that thing, and I thought they had the vote, but they missed it on that light. If they would have lights like Renee Vincent has in her parking lot, that light is fully night sky compliant and is culturally appropriate to the environment. I don't know if we did change it around or not. I know Ricky Dean was talking to them. We have a problem with, in that light, the way it is constructed, would violate one of those outdoor lighting ordinances because it shows glare off the property onto the public right of way. Unfortunately, the Texas legislature, in their wisdom, last year passed a bill that in essence made it impossible, at least temporarily, to enforce outdoor lighting ordinances. And we're going to be working with the, and it was an inadvertent mistake, an unintended consequence. And they offered that bill as ordinance. So we have to work with the legislature this coming session to get that reversed. So in the meantime, all of our outdoor lighting ordinance becomes in essence recommendations. So we're working on that. On the other hand, the legislature will reverse that. And then that will become an enforceable ordinance. So if it's going to be enforceable in the future, then might as well fix it now.
Is the bank receptive?
I would hope that they would cooperate in doing nothing bad.
They were very cooperative when we were talking to them. It sounds to me like, they would have to get away from them. But the lighting, somebody selected the light that's simply not appropriate.
I talked to them briefly. They said it's not the light they thought they were getting,
Okay.
but they're looking into it. And I actually have a meeting over there tomorrow.
Great.
See if it comes out anything about what they do.
Well, I guess, if they are gonna change the lights, I think it'd be advantageous that Wayne have a chance to look at what they're getting before they,
Well, they thought, and this all came down for me initially, originally, but I think they felt that they had visited with Nice Guy, were in compliance, and when they got the lights up, they had a problem with, they changed contractors 3-4 times through that project. So in the end, when it came to the completion, they are looking to try to figure out why they have, that's not the light they thought they were going to.
well, if they
They
just,
didn't know the people who were making the decisions didn't know till the lights come off. They were, okay, wait a minute. Oh. And they heard a few complaints. They're aware of the complaints.
There is a way to fix that light that is up there right now to become compliant, and that is to simply put a 4-inch shield around all 4 sides. If you go to Driven Springs and look at the parking lot lights in HEB and in Home Depot, their lights are up on 40-foot poles, they're box lights, so they're curved up to the horizon. But they all have 4-inch shields that Driven Springs may even put one of those lights. And that cuts down on the amount of glare. So that could fix that. It still wouldn't be historic district appropriate, in my opinion, but it would fix the glare.
When I met with them, I was basically giving them a chance to kind of work to themselves, all of that out.
You can't use grenades like this.
Yeah, and they realize that they've heard the complaints, people have already complained, so without us doing it. So, they're aware, and I think they'll try to make something, whether it be shading the lights or whether it be replacing the fixtures as a whole.
Oh, at a related topic, just to let the council know, the council, hotline that the council has delegated to the chamber for execution. We worked through the legislature for about 2 years, last year, and got authority to use a portion of that hot money to retrofit plants for making Nice Guy friendly. And we have, taken some of that money with the approval of the Chamber's board and go up to the Swiss Lodge. Look at the outdoor lighting. We replaced 29 lights on the hotel, and they're excellent. We have to work on their sign out front, but that's a big improvement. We're working right now with Marshall County and with Brown. And replacing, we did an evaluation, we're replacing those lights. And after that, of course, the big one is the he's totally on board. He's very, very cooperative. He just has to support him.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, are you calling for a motion?
Yeah, whenever.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the proclamation proclaiming the city of Blanco as Hill Country Night Sky Month in the city of Blanco.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All right.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, Wayne.
Okay, then we will go to item number 5, which is discuss and consider action of creation of task force facilitated by the Meadow Center for Water and the Environment at Texas State University to include representatives and technical experts selected by the city of Blanco and Protect Our Blanco to study and deliver to council on or before its December 2020 meeting cost-effective wastewater engineering options that provide for growth and development without discharge. So, we have Nick. Nick.
Hi.
Good evening, Mayor. I'm Nick Dornak, Director of Watershed Services with Meadow Center of Texas State, and I was here the last meeting. We presented some information with a member of Watershed, Blanco, and extended an invitation for the city to to come together with a large number of groups and supporters to find better solutions for your wastewater future and for the water resources of the city of Blanco and Blanco River watershed. The agenda item tonight is simply establish a task force, potentially with representatives nominated by the city and Protect Our Blanco to include technical experts, to include representatives from the city and from maybe from regional NGOs perhaps, to look at this over the next several months, put together a scope of work for an engineering study and a cost and economic study to look at your current situation, what the cost would be to maintain a no discharge type solution in the short term, and then long-term task force would be looking at potentially long-term planning out to help the city of Blanco manage growth sustainably in a way that's economically beneficial to the city, to development, but also protect those resources. So this would be a first step tonight, in just putting together a group of stakeholders that would be facilitated by the Meadow Center under our existing MOU with the city to come back to council on the December meeting with some recommendations to consider.
What kind of access are you gonna need to the facilities?
I don't really foresee us needing any kind of facility access here in Blanco. Perhaps it might be something where we want to look at the wastewater plant, but I think that some members have already been out there. So mostly I think this is just going to be looking at some existing studies that have been done, looking at your permitting, just in communication with Will, perhaps, and council members on the permitting process and understanding the economics of what your future options might be. What we want to do is bring back some options for the city to consider moving forward.
Okay, it was, I gotta make sure I'm understanding everything. So I have several questions for you tonight. It's my understanding that we're gonna put an engineering team on it, but that they wanted access to the wastewater treatment plant to study the watershed there and come up with some options. Is that where we are?
I'm not, Matt, to be honest, I'm sorry, but I don't know how they're gonna need access to the plant to do this. This is really looking at the permitting and the engineering design and all of those kinds of
Okay, so I know that we're all pretty much on the same page. We all care about the river. We all care about the watershed. So I won't belabor that point too much. What I really want to know, because I kind of feel like we're stepping out. You know, I feel like we're extending a hand to, you know, build a bridge so we can all get together and be on the same page. So what I really want to know is who the engineers are going to be,
right?
what exactly it is they're going to study, where and when they're going to study it, and what the cost is, and who exactly is paying for that.
Right.
So those are the main things that I have questions on. Short of that, I think it's a good idea that we do try to work with the Meadows and to protect our Blanco people so that we have less of a you know, problem later on down the road with the permitting. So the other thing, and the other thing that I'm, you know, we keep hearing from the Protect Our Blanco that we have resources. We want to help you. We'd rather spend those resources on helping Blanco become a model city, you know, but Blanco, we only generate so much revenue. We only have so much money to spend. We really kind of need to, you know, let the rubber meet the road and find out where that money is, how much it's going to be, where it's going to come from, you know, what type of grants, and how specifically are we going to implement that to make us a model city. So those are big questions that I have.
And I don't think that one person, aka me, has the answers to that last question. But what the goal is to put together this group of stakeholders that includes the city of Blanco, that includes Protect Our Blanco, that includes other NGOs and technical experts to find those answers and find those solutions. Going back to one of your first questions is which engineer is going to be used. Task number one for the task force is going to be to put together a scope of work for this engineering study to be done. The study will have no cost to the city of Blanco. The funds would come from most likely Protect Our Blanco to put that together. But there are some other groups that have expressed their interest in putting together that engineering study. That the engineering study to be done, my understanding, is really going to be looking at there's been several efforts on the ground right now, or that have been completed recently, including the water balance that's being done, looking at your current plans and the land application. So bringing all of that together and then putting together the economics and cost of various things like land application with spray, land application with drip irrigation, 210 reuse, which is where you have purple pipe and you're doing that. So I anticipate that it will be a competitive process for the engineer, but an expedited one because it doesn't have to go through a government funding. It will be from Protect Our Blanco, so we can speed that up. But the key is that we have City of Blanco represented on that group that's putting together the scope of work and selecting the engineer. So that's really important that there's definitely a feeling of a partnership and balance on that part of it.
Nick, would our current engineer be involved in this at all?
It certainly could be if there's a designer or that.
What?
We have to pay for that.
That's one concern. So
Okay.
perhaps what I anticipate is a consultation with your current engineer, perhaps, or but the idea is not to have any cost in the city of Blanco.
I personally don't see a way around not having him involved. I mean, he's the city engineer and
Yeah.
it would be
I agree with you 100%, but
foolish.
we've got to account for the cost of it.
Sure. And maybe some of that grant money can help cover some of those costs or something. So,
I think it's important that all concerned realize how far we have come over the past few years to improve the quality of the water and the discharge I remember seeing open ditches with raw sewage in them. And that water, we made tremendous strides and spent millions of dollars to make a lot of improvements. And I think we can't just turn our backs on what we've already accomplished without really knowing what it's going to cost and I sure hate to think that we wasted what we have accomplished.
Well, I don't think that's I wouldn't assume that would be the intent. I mean, this is how to better where we are now, how to better the effectiveness of our disposal in the future.
And what becomes an emotional issue, I spoke to someone about it the other day. Boy, he got in my face and I thought, you have no idea what we've done out there. The dredging and we diverted an environmental disaster out there.
no, I agree. It was
Some education that needs to go
Well,
from us to them.
I think that's true. I think transparency has been an issue in the past that a lot of people don't realize what's getting done. You know, so much of everything is done in executive session. People don't have a way of knowing how far we've come, what's been done already. But, I agree, letting people know where we're at,
Right.
certainly because there has been a long promotion, you know. People have been really,
So I would actually have a wish list that you could take back to the Meadows. And if we were to ask our works director, he would probably say something along the lines of a storage tank and a way to get Purple Height out to 281. Would that be your recommendation of a good place they could help us?
Oh, of course, no, definitely.
Anything else?
We essentially just started the infrastructure for the reclaim water, the 210 weeks. As it stands now, the capacity that we're holding on to is right under $15,000 stored. The location of the site itself makes it hard for truckers for anyone who could utilize the water to easily go get it. So it's just a matter of, again, just expanding our infrastructure. Starting the infrastructure, I guess, at this point.
And that would be the tank, would be the
Oh,
tank.
yes.
Ronnie could ask you your opinion on setting up the formation of a task force to be facilitated by the Meadows Center, or do you?
What was your question, there?
Well, I mean, Nick's coming to us and he's wanting us to consider an action to authorize a task force to be set up to be facilitated by the Meadows Center.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wanting your opinion on that.
I mean, we've been completely transparent with everything we've done out there. Accepting help, whether it's, from Meadows, or, the task force or anything from there. I don't see that as any kind of problem proceeding in the future.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, we're not obligated to, we're just,
no.
this is a group that's gonna come together and procure and, identify a scope of work from what Nick said, and then engage an engineering firm and come back with some ideas and recommendations.
Right. And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's an obligation or whatever there.
Yeah, well,
My only concern, and I know Ronnie has this concern too, is just in doing this, we have to be mindful of our easement partners that we have out there, and our neighbors that are there. So any kind of studies, any kind of traffic needs to be well managed, because first thing somebody goes out there on one particular road, Ronnie's gonna get a call if they unlock the gate and lock them in.
Right.
So that's my only concern, just being mindful of our whatever we're doing, though we have discussed high points of what we want to do, but whatever we end up doing, we have to be mindful of our easement rights with our neighbors.
My thought is on the task force, that we could have two council members, because we don't have a quorum, and then we could have Ronnie and Will, and that would be, the city's representation. If y'all are okay with that, then we can decide which two, but the only two things that I do worry about is the access and any cost to the city. So, if we could, tonight's agenda item is to create the task force, agree to create a task force. And if we do that, then can you come to us with the scope of work and have us approve the scope of work? So basically, we create the task force, give you, would a month to do a scope of work, or do you know?
Hopefully less, we've already pretty much been working on it, but the thing is that we want to have a lot of, input and buy-in from the Blanco representation on how that was.
By the next meeting, maybe we can approve the scope of work and then decide, is there gonna be a cost to us? Is there some access issues because of the easement issues that we have, things like that? So,
It can be done relatively cost effective.
right. I think we need to have a conversation, so I think if we agree to move forward with the task force, and then I'm not sure, that's kind of my ideas on what from the city would be, represented. So like you said, you would be represented and y'all would have some engineers, so who else?
Yeah, how many people are you
Yeah.
mentioning on the?
Well, I was anticipating a task force of 6 to 10 votes, with, if it would be 4 from Blanco, which would be outstanding, then I would probably present for Blanco, would recommend 4 folks. One of those might be an engineer that's just donating time, and then a few other either scientists or members of Dr. Blanco. The role of the Meadow Center would be to convene and progress the discussion, come and make sure that the scope of work is ready for council, potentially to approve and move forward on, unless, the only thing I would say is if we wait a month to get that approved, just kind of close the process down. And I know there's a lot of anticipation to get some answers quickly. So it could be, again, I did not see that the study itself would impose cost on the city of Blanco, but I understand what you're saying with your engineer and your public works folks and Will. There's some personnel costs there. So I'm happy to set that up that way if Commissioner said it would like to do that in a month.
That's easy, council people don't cost anything, so.
Yeah. And we do have some anticipated budget meetings coming up that will be before the full month from now, so we would end
Oh, we could possibly squeeze it
Yeah,
in.
we-
one of our budget approval meetings or something.
22nd.
I think the biggest thing with the task force is education.
That's
Right, and that's why I'd like to have the conversation.
It's so much more than protect our Blanco and everything else, and Meadow Center, whatever the case, they're not aware of the issues that they have out the easements and stuff.
This is what we need, is that interaction and the insight from your point of view. And then again, to bring light to all the good work that's been done and everything to move forward. I think it'd be something that the community would definitely rally around. So,
I'm sure the Meadow would be our contact.
that's right, I would,
We wouldn't have.
I could funnel some information.
We would go through the
yes,
state.
absolutely. And if need be personally, probably facilitate.
I just want to ask Brad to make sure,
Yeah, Brad.
Brad, do you see any issue with us creating a task force that would involve 2 council members, Ronnie Will, and then maybe 4 representatives from Protect Our Blanco?
No, as long as it's less than a quorum, you're fine. Two council members would be appropriate for this kind of an item.
Where's this picture? I can't see him.
Right?
Double tap.
Did y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We just couldn't see it, yeah.
Well, here I am.
All right.
Anybody have any?
So why is just the motion to create a task force, if I understand.
Yeah, I think that's all we have on the agenda, that's all we've seen.
Well,
Right.
if you're ready, I'll make that
Yeah, I
motion.
mean, I think, yeah.
Okay, so here, let me, get back so I read it correctly. I make a motion that the city of Blanco create a task force facilitated by the Meadows Center for Water and Environment at Texas State University to include representatives and technical experts selected by the city of Blanco and Protect Our Blanco to study and deliver to council on or before December 20th, the December 2020 meeting, a cost-effective wastewater engineering options that provide for growth and development without discharge.
We have a motion?
I second. Are we gonna say this on the task force?
Well, that's other than.
Oh.
No, that'll be up to us.
We're just creating.
We have a motion in a second, so do we want to go ahead and?
I've got a discussion.
Okay.
Okay.
Second?
Yes. I guess you, Matt, you had talked about having them come back to us with a scope of work and have us approve it. Do you want that to be a requirement in this?
I believe I do. Should we make a separate motion? Should we do a motion to create it and then,
Well, we can amend it.
and like you said, we also could name
The actual.
task force members
Yeah, I'm happy.
from the city of Blanco currently.
And can we do that since it's not on the agenda, or is that Brad, need
Well,
your expertise on that?
No, you can name I would expect you to identify the individuals who would be on the task force.
Okay. Should we do a second motion or?
Motion?
I would go ahead and withdraw the second, accept an amendment, and then reoffer the motion, the amended motion. So that way it's all, it's all in one motion. The motion is to approve the task force, to appoint, persons A, B, C, D on the task force, and to come back to the city on so-and-so date with a proposed scope of work. That would be the appropriate motion, I think. That way it's all in one item.
Okay.
She would do her second
Mayor, I'd like to amend my motion.
and amend it.
Okay. I would like to amend my motion to include the selection of city council members.
And then do we have any volunteers? I guess first off. I think I have a couple of volunteers in my head.
I think I'm in over my head, so to appoint council members, Lewis and Devine, and city employees, Ronnie Rodriguez and Will Daves to the task force. I would also amend the motion to include a scope of work completion by our date. What's the date?
So just have our approval prior to engaging the engineer.
Okay. Prior to engaging our engineers, we won't set a specific date.
You know that, Lori?
I think so.
Was that everything? Was that everything I needed to include?
Yeah.
Okay.
December 14th.
Well, I just wanted it
Let's try
before.
it for the scope of work, so that we're just gonna approve.
For the organization, the task force will get the scope of work at the.
Next, whatever, we go.
22nd.
ASAP or whatever.
September 22nd, okay.
You want to second that?
I second that.
Okay, good.
From Mr. Ryan. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor? We have some work for you.
All right.
Level.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. I do appreciate all the work that's been put into this, and I can guarantee you that there are a lot of folks energized to bring some great solutions to this.
Well, we want to be a model city, so make it happen.
All right.
The model budget.
Yeah.
Have a good evening.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All righty, I guess I'm going backwards. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, we'll go with number 4. Item number 4 is to discuss and consider action on personnel policy, employee benefits, enrollment, effective date. I think that's a little, I'll let Lori explained the
We're on 5 now.
issue with this.
4.
It's basically just a correction to the personnel policy, page 33. It previously said employees that are eligible to send basically the probation period is 90 days. And we were trying to get, but the benefits start at 60 days. And we were trying to get it like both at 90 days. But per our carrier, they said that per the Affordable Care Act, that that law, it has to be like effective the first of the month following 60 days. So I redid the wording to say employees that are eligible dependents will be covered on the first of the month following 60 days of employment per the Affordable Care Act. So it's just like a rewording of that paragraph.
So before they're eligible for insurance at 60 days, but we weren't taking them off probation until 90 days, so
Right.
this is just to make it all consistent, so we're.
The idea is if you tell them the 90 days and they started on whatever date, the insurance only goes into effect on the first of the month. So if they start on the 15th at 90 days, the 15th came up, they'd be out there for another 15 days. And that's where we violated the Affordable Care Act.
If you go over 90 days.
Right. So it needs to start the first of the month. So
Make it all consistent.
So that's all it is.
We have a motion
I make a motion that, the personnel policy, employee benefits and enrollment effective dates be modified as outlined in compliance with the Affordable Care Act.
motion, second, any more discussion on that? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Right. Oh, we're on our way up to number 3 now. We have discuss and consider action on resolution for 2020 R009 for Police Department CARES Act funding.
Look at the 2 pages, the page maybe following the resolution. Try to break it down for you all, have a chance to look at it or not. You're familiar with the CARES Act coronavirus relief fund. The city's already received authorized funding. So what we're requesting is a resolution authorizing the police department to use a portion of that money to purchase a records management system and 2 computers. It does a lot of things. The way it applies to the CARES Act is it allows for residents to do online reporting. So for minor violations, they can actually go online and log their complaints that way, and it limits the contact between the officers and the residents when the situation allows it. So that's basically what the other things that the program does is it's a full up records management system. Currently, we don't have a records management system. We're using TopSync, and it's a very small part of what a records management system should do. This system, in addition to being compliant with the CARES Act by allowing for online reporting, allows us to collect better data, to complete better reports, to track evidence. It has an evidence room module, so we can actually manage the evidence room using this software, as opposed to now we have pencil and paper connection. We looked around and when we came across the system and found out that it did qualify for this relief money. It did everything we needed to do plus more. So I think it's the way to go to use these funds that are already available to the city.
So it's 56,900, right? And so that money we've already got, or we're in the process of?
we're in the process of, that's already accounted for, though, we haven't received it.
Yeah, but we won't buy it until we actually receive it.
Right.
So I think I remember that the grant was for 77,000 or something, is that correct? So we talked about the same grant a few months ago that they asked for approval to get a grant, but then something to be COVID for.
Was this one, I think that grant was,
That was a grant, that was a separate grant outside the CARES Act, it's for a similar product, but we're not awarding a grant.
that wasn't through this program, that was a separate grant.
And we didn't get that.
So it wasn't through the CARES Act, I thought that process started, I guess, before this process, before this software became eligible through CARES.
I
So
thought
where did
this was that money, but I'm just-
We tried to find a different grant, not just this money, that grant was denied that grant.
So we don't have this grant yet either.
Well, this is money that the city's been allocated.
So, we qualified for $172,000 under the CARES Act for items such as this, that help, create social distancing, protect, keep people from having one-on-one conversations for all a variety of services.
Yeah.
And we're still working on the kiosk as well. They kind of concept of back to see the budget. But we have 172,000 of the 172,000 that we're qualified for. We've only received 22,000, and that was the initial disbursement for our glass up front, the PPE that we bought, for the court stuff that had to be bought to be able to operate forward. All PPE oriented for the additional cleanings we've done here, things like that. Things that we did not have immediately budgeted in our budget for.
Right. So is there a schedule when the rest of that money is coming in? Do we know when to expect it?
It'll come in a couple of months. As soon as I finish the application for it, I've got to account for what we've already spent, which I have done that. And then I got to submit the request to get the other money. And I'm doing them both at the same time, so I haven't done. But we have all the information. He's already provided the information to me. Now that he can send it off to the grant coordinator. And then so it'll come in, I don't know about the end of the month, but sometime in October, latest. They come pretty quick.
But we won't buy the software until we share to the money, right? Just in case.
We won't purchase until,
It's in the bank.
right. We can't purchase until we have it, but
All right, that's what I was trying to say.
And the resolution states that's money.
so I have that line out for COVID in there,
But
and that's where it's gonna be allocated.
All right, so do we have a motion for this resolution? Any other discussion?
I make a motion that we approve resolution 2020-R-009 for the police department CARES Act funding.
We have a motion from Mr. Smith, we have a second.
I'll second.
Second from Mr. Lewis, any more discussion? If not, all in favor?
Thanks, Steve.
All right, so now we'll go on item number 2, which is discuss.
My numbers, did y'all get a different agenda
We
than me?
flipped it.
We're going back.
I know, but my numbers are all off by one all night. It's been freaking me. Yeah.
So 2 is not discuss and consider action on ordinance 2020.
Yeah, you've got a different one than I got.
All right.
Wait,
Oh, yeah, I took, we gave you,
Yeah, you win.
you came too early and I had Brad sitting something at like 4 o'clock when we did the agenda.
That's fine, so you got it.
All right. No worries. I was
At
like,
least you figured out what you go crazy.
I'm sorry.
it's all good.
So, resolution 23, fee schedule, fees increase. So, Will,
Okay, I have a little insert, this is page 6, it's the revised page 6 of the budget stuff that you have. You can disregard page 6 when we get to that, just take this sheet. As this applies to proposed schedule changes that we've put
I
on.
gave you one, but I'll take another.
Yeah, we had another tough driving on.
Yeah.
So the first thing we need the tap fees, water and sewer tap fees. The tap fees haven't been raised since 2017. I know we talked about more, we talked about impact fees, we haven't done, so that's the process will begin next year. But in the meantime, until all that gets worked out, we really need to increase our in-city and outside city limits to make, some of these tab fees, the actual cost for, and city limits, we're charging $750. And granted, keep in mind, these tab fees only apply to new construction, new customers. We're not touching our current customers with anything that's doing new construction, new development. But we have some that already cost us $1,000 and we're only getting $750 for it. Yes, sir.
You said it's only new construction though.
Right.
So say there's an existing house, but they need to relocate their tap. That's a new tap fee. That's considered new
I don't
construction.
know why they had to relocate your tap.
We've had
Why do you need to relocate your tap now?
Well, I have two lots, and we actually have two taps already, which is an odd thing, but one of them's in the wrong place. And so if I were to move it, that's a whole new tap fee.
We better get it done before I come to the park.
That's what I'm worried about, yeah. So you're practically doubling the fee here, so.
Well, no, we've done that in the past where we do a meter relocation, meter tower relocation, whatever the case, when it's at cost, which in all reality is probably going to be more than the proposed meter fee. So,
If we did it at cost, it would be closer to $1,000.
right.
Okay, just checking.
But no, this is new. This you have existing taps already. This is for brand new taps.
Brand new tap, okay.
Which inside the city, there's going to be very few, as you know, as real estate as well. There's every lot's got a tap, more or less. You know, what I mean, it's very few that are still needing to have to pay and do this. It's going to be for future development inside the city limits and stuff from there. Yeah, all brand new taps.
Okay.
And that's 1,200 each for water and then 1,200 for sewer. So if you're building a new house, it'll be 2,400 in the city limits.
Yes. Now, keep in mind, you go down to Wembley, and they call it $12,000, get the same tap. Of course, you go to Johnson City, get it for
$630.
$630 each, so $1,260. But, you know,
So why that? Why is it twice as much as Johnson City?
I don't know whether Johnson City has,
Maybe we need to find out how they're doing it.
We're probably the same way, and we're losing just kind of like we are right now. At the 750, we're losing money each time we.
At 750, we're losing money, but of course, gaining another customer, we do acquire that meter fee, and then we sell water, you only get usage every month thereafter. So, you know, again, like I said, Dripping Springs, you can spend $16,000 just for a water tap, but they are being the groundwater district they're subject to more fees and such that we are. Now, we're just looking at it as far as actual cost with our fees right now with the water tap, we're literally losing money.
Yeah, we don't want to lose money on
No.
this.
Right. And the biggest thing that we can attribute to that is almost 2 years ago, the lead and copper gold changed for, you know, brass fittings and stuff from there. So we started actually literally paying almost double for the parts that we utilized to put in a water tank. So that's when these fees came up. Between that, the cost of living, our personnel start making a little bit more money, whatever the case, that's where it started. You know. When we changed it to 750 from 500, and I believe it was 2017, right?
2017.
We were able to make just a small profit margin on that one. Now we're to the point we're just losing money. That's just all there is to it.
So is there a minimal distance with this? I mean, depending on where your house is,
Let's do the thing. The tap has nothing to do with the meter. Tap has to do with tapping into our main. So it has nothing to do with an increased fee for being this distance or that distance.
so that's on the meter fee.
That's all on the meter side, yes.
We want to get rid, of course, with the introduction of impact fees if we ever do. It would be standardized that a meter tap or, you know, water tap itself would include no more than 20 foot pipe. From there, there would be added
Right,
costs for, you know,
Right.
longer.
And that makes sense to me. That's
Right. You know, just, we have it written down in our service agreement that the city is obligated to provide services to their property line. Well, our main is 40 foot away, and we're running 40 foot of pipe instead of the normal 20 or such, but that's gonna be on the behalf of the city. Not until we change it or actually introduce impact fees into the city for our customers and such, then it's the way we go about it.
I guess that's my fear, is the impact, I mean, we're talking about adding impact fees in January, now this is,
A whole other process.
it's a whole, that's a bigger number for somebody building a house too.
It would basically change this. This becomes irrelevant. This is the plan you have in place to you have. And a whole lot of data and information that have to be based on, we're not prepared to do today. I want to make sure that going into the October 1, 2021 budget, that we're not losing money on anything.
But I'd also like to get the impact fees before the developments happen, because those are the ones that are gonna be impacting us, and way too late, and
100% agree.
Well, even once you conclude your impact fees and get those together, this tax is so set.
Right.
You know, it's not, they're not gonna, contradict one another way.
Right.
they say you looked at Wimberley and Johnson City, have you looked at any others to see kind of where they are? Ballpark?
City of Brunkles, City of Verde, Canyon Lake Water Supply.
We're all about right there.
Well, and they're just, they're all over the place.
So they have so many other different fees that tag on to that.
You know, Waverly itself, you have to pay towards the groundwater district, and then they have membership fees and such that we don't have. Dripping Springs, they don't have, it's an actual water supply company that services them. So they're, I mean, for
They're
a
understanding of that.
right. So their rates are ridiculously high, but literally it's all over the board. So when we're basing these numbers that we're proposing to you tonight, is just really on the fact of
What,
it needs a little bit of a profit margin.
Right.
And when I say a little bit of profit margin, I mean, if everything
Goes right.
well and perfect, we might bring in $150 instead of
Right.
$200.
Yeah.
But,
But we don't
yeah, so that's something in looking at different water rates around the state and stuff from there with public utility commissions, again, they're all over the board. This is merely based on not losing money.
What it costs us to do the work.
Right.
And that costs about $1,000.
Roughly, yeah.
Current,
Current.
before inflation.
Yeah.
Well, then, of course, this is just a meter tap. Now, we as a council have already passed the fee schedule where we have another added fee for street cut. We have another added fee for cutting into a sidewalk and stuff like that. This is, again,
Right.
completely opposite or just different from said alone.
Okay, so I guess I need to find I've got page 6, help me well. Where's the ordinance?
The ordinance for it?
Yeah.
That is, what tab is that?
The two, I think.
Yeah, about 10.
Like a fee schedule or
Something
something?
like that, yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
The county one is ordinance 2020-010.
That's it right
Yeah,
there.
I got it right here.
It's like
210.
page that-
That should be.
Okay.
Which oddly enough, 2017-010 was the previous one. So there it's just not, right?
Okay, yeah, I remember. And where you've got the lines through it, that's where you want to change it?
Right, the lines through it, that was the current fees from 2017.
So this is the other.
Yeah.
So if there's a tap on your lot, then if you connect to it, there's, I guess,
All under the meter fee section.
that they go into the meter fee section.
Right.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be subject to a tap fee.
Right, okay.
So we're gonna see you in the morning, Matt, to get that.
Now I'm just gonna get a ditch witch and trench over the other one.
So wait a minute, there's a fee in here for damage. Okay, wait, right, before you do that, there's a $500 fine for hitting the water line.
All right.
Yeah, he may,
Plus $25 per thousand gallons of water.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, have we had that in the past, a $500 fee? A fine?
Yes, so it's something that's been imposed, and Ryan went over with it this morning, it's something that's been imposed for many years. It's just not right.
Yeah.
document in writing.
What if the city what if the city locates the line, but
If we locate the line, yeah, that's on us, but if, what we're trying to prevent is,
Build a fence and then install it.
the T-post driver.
the ones who, they're supposed to do it at 811, they're supposed to have us come out and do the marking, and if they don't choose to proceed without, that's the way it's been happening before. Now, I think we've even run across that with contractors, whether it be utility contractors, somebody else could want our mains, and that's a big, much bigger deal. But that's where that $25 per thousand really adds up quick
Oh, yeah.
for water loss. A normal residential, it's not gonna be terrible. But $25 per thousand is at our highest rate that we could be selling water for, so that's our highest stage, that's what we're going to do that. It is what has been used in the past, it's just,
It's never been documented.
it's never been documented as part of the lease.
I'm just curious, how are you able to enforce that if it's not documented?
That's a good question.
You just say,
No, no.
oh, by the way,
Yeah.
draw a line, it's nowhere in our.
No, I don't know if Brad's still on, but I know that we had confirmed, at the time that was brought up, we did have a city attorney, and that was his recommendation that we, something about us being able to put that monetary figure on it, because that's the most amount of money we would have been able to make off of that. So you're using your highest, I guess, resale value amount, or whatever the case. So.
We don't have a lot of, it doesn't happen often, but, you know.
Gives us recourse in the event.
Yeah, really, the biggest concern is, I'll just use PEC for example. If they go out here on 4th Street at the ski, they hit our 12-inch main, and the city loses water for, 24 hours, however long it takes to repair a big problem. We should have some recourse to that. Now, granted, PEC would be a partner with us to begin with, but if some other random subcontractor, they may not be.
But this is not in this ordinance, the $500.
Separate. The fine is a separate issue. Although the ordinance only deals with the specific,
1,200.
penalties. Yes.
1,200. So we're going from where it scratch out of 750 to 1,000.
Right, I understand. Yeah, we're making the two changes.
Yeah, so basically, let's stick on number one. Number one on the page 6 is the
Right.
first thing to address.
Well, but that addresses the water, it doesn't address the sewer, and the sewer's addressed.
No, it does water, sewer, tap fees.
Okay, yeah, okay. That's for both.
Right,
Okay.
so that's what applies to, ordinance 2020-010.
Well, at some point, I would like to come back and visit the water line damage fee, but,
Well, we're gonna get to that at the end.
oh, today?
It's number 8, yeah?
Okay. All right, well, with that,
What's the
all right,
TSI fee?
well, right now, I'm on my agenda, and we've got on my number 2, Matt, it says discuss, consider action for ordinance 2020-011.
Yeah, you jumped to number 26.
Yeah.
But they're kind of the same.
Actually, I probably did.
Yeah, they.
Actually, I did because we're going backwards in there, and
011 is the fee schedule, and 010 is the sewer and water.
yeah, going backwards on the agenda because, we started, so number 2 on the agenda is fee schedule.
Number 1.
Is the tax.
That piece, yeah.
So we got skip number 2, go to number 1.
Number 1, it reads amending ordinance 269, which is amended to ordinance 2020-010.
That's not even on my agenda.
Wait, what's the,
This one.
That's 09.
That might have taken off. What are these two?
You just
talked about it.
Yeah, it's okay. I won't.
You got that, you ready to?
Okay,
I know. Well, I get for.
These are all the judgments.
One time, you should have.
yeah, that'll teach you.
I think I'll do the right one.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna make a motion on item number 2 on my agenda. And this is to approve ordinance 2020-0, oh, that's O.
That's, oh,
Oh,
Okay.
ordinance.
Okay, 2020-0-011. And in doing so, the tap fees amounts will be amended to reflect $1,200 inside the city limits and $1,750 outside the city limits for both water and sewer taps. Did I get that right?
1,200 inside and what you say?
1750, right,
1,750 outside.
This one is.
yeah.
You're talking about water.
He's right. Hang on, I'll show you.
Yeah,
It's this one. That's a fee schedule.
That's-
And these are water and sewer tap fees.
Right.
Oh, it's to amend ordinance number
269.
259 utilities.
Yeah, that's gonna be 2020,
Right.
well, it says ordinance number 2020.
But that's number 2, that's the fee schedule. That's the fee schedule.
100.
Well, wait a minute.
Well, that was number 2, so I need.
Well, if I look back on my page 1, where it says an ordinance amending number 26-9, it's got this number up on top of it.
Right, that's 10. You called out, we're at 11, 2020-011 here.
No, I called out 20, well, maybe I called the wrong number.
Yeah, that's it. As long as you come up, revise it to say 10 instead of 11,
Okay,
because 11 is the fee schedule.
I know.
this is the fee schedule.
That is. Yeah.
Right here, here's the fee.
One of the, it seems like.
Right, no, it's a separate fee schedule though. There's another ordinance that deals with all the other fee schedules.
There's
That's a
ordinance
tap fee.
269 that just deals with tap, with
He
water.
needs to
and
amend
tap
his,
fees.
he needs to amend his.
And then the fee schedule includes
All the other stuff.
Yeah, see the.
What is he? Okay. We need to go from the top down.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna start over. I withdraw my motion. Okay. I'm gonna amend.
Wait a second.
Okay. Ordinance 269 is just the water and sewer tap fees.
Well, but right at the top of it, it says ordinance 2020 0010.
Yes,
That's the ordinance you won't pass.
yes, correct,
Okay,
correct.
thank you. So I make a motion that ordinance number 2020 0010, which is amending ordinance number 269, be amended and under section 2.2, the rates for service is going to be changed from $750 to $1,200 inside the city limits. And outside the city limits, it'll be changed from $1,000 to $1,750.
That's correct.
Okay,
We have a motion. Mr. Smith, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. McClellan. Any other discussion? All in favor?
I really didn't anticipate that getting that hard.
well, I got involved, so there it goes.
No, I'm seeing where your confusion is now, because there's too many numbers all together, and I'm writing numbers on my own here too.
Okay,
So that was just the tax, but now it's gonna be the fee. So now we'll go to item number 2,
So the other fees, as we go to 2 down to 6, we do not have to make a motion until we get to the end to approve all fees, or disapprove whichever fees approve.
Or amend whatever you have to.
Okay. But do you have a motion, I mean, do you have that ordinance typed in here? Or is this,
The new ordinance would be 2020-1011.
okay,
Each call fee schedule, and not like all fees. Yes, that's in our packet.
As listed on the agenda, as item number 2.
okay.
Correct.
We do not have the ordinance in the packet,
Yes.
but we have, under proposed fee schedules, that would be the items 2 through
The
8.
ordinance is in the packet.
2 through 8, yes, sir.
It's a fee schedule at the top.
Right, on page 6. No?
No, we're good with that. You
They're
have
tied together. There's 2 different ordinances tied together, so you should have one.
But yes, we will be discussing.
First one was like 3 pages and then the second one. There you go. That's
Well,
the second.
therefore, it's not telling me much.
I'm sorry.
Well, on the fee schedule, all the whereases, you
Yeah,
got why, and then the therefore be ordained.
but it's got a whole bunch of stuff in it, and all we're looking at these, number 2 through 8 on the,
Fee schedule.
page 6 that I gave you.
Okay.
So currently, CSI fees are $35 period. We propose to keep the residential at $35, but add commercial and industrial, commercial $50 and industrial at $75.
So can you explain the CSI fee?
I'm sorry,
What is the CSI fee?
customer service inspection,
Okay.
Ronnie does that specifically himself.
Whatever you,
Well, customer service inspection is, analyzing the plumbing and fittings inside of a establishment to ensure that there's backflow prevention from water from the inside the house, dwelling, or building, of course, to enter back into the city's water supply.
And
So,
they're actually certified.
right. We've got to go to separate classes and stuff and actually get a certification to be customer service inspector. So this is one that we imposed, or council imposed years ago, in 2016, that we do this CSI fee and we conduct the CSI, being a customer service inspection on every house that is new construction or when the water changes names. So if you sell one of your lots and somebody picks it up, we'll be doing a CSI from there, whatever the case, so.
And there are other services that do CSIs. For example, for an industrial CSI, they could pay somebody else to come out, it costs them $100. We're still under what other services charges.
So normally, you'll see the increase on these, a normal average residential CSI on a single family home kind of thing could take you no more than 15 minutes. Kind of in and out, doing your checks, doing your stuff, you're doing a cut and swab, looking for lead and copper in the pipelines and stuff like that. I mean, 50 to 30 minutes tops is what we figure it. When you get into commercials, houses, now what you're doing on this customer service section, you're checking every single water connection inside the dwelling or establishment. So now you get into, say, Redbud, now you've got a dishwasher, you've got more sinks, you've got the, just, so there's more, there's a lot more water connections there, so there's a lot more to actually inspect and check and go from there. So where now a commercial account might run you 30 minutes to 45 minutes kind of thing or so. And then of course your industrials, when you think about the brewery, look at all the water connections they have in that place or what. So this is just on a scale, but like Will was saying, just to keep it under the $100 mark, is if somebody wanted to see a site conduct on their house, we do it inside the city, of course. But anybody in the county can find somebody or even pay me on the side, whatever the case. It's usually no more than $100. Is what you pay for that service. So with us still keeping it minimal, then, they'll utilize our services before they go somewhere.
So you're telling me that when you do a CSI, you just don't go there and screw one of those little backflow?
No, I will.
Walk off, is that-
No, but what you're doing there is, of course, if we were to have a contamination issue, for anybody that doesn't understand the backflow or anything from there, if you're bathing your dog in a swimming pool outside, you've got soapy water in that pool, and you've got the hose running inside that pool, we have a main break outside. or a main break in the road, or down the road, whatever the case is there, water leaving and exiting our pipeline at such a fast rate is gonna pull a vacuum. And it could potentially suck that water that your dog was bathing in back into the garden hose and back either into your house or into the city water supply. So therefore, when we fix the leak and get everything, tighten back up again and the pressure back up, you literally go to your sink and get a glass of water to drink, and it's the soapy water from the dog.
Yeah.
So you'd be lucky that it only happened in your own house, but imagine if it was some type of, herbicide or pesticide that was in the yard.
Or the dairy, the new cheese factory.
There you go. So that's what this is, and I get it, and I explained to every one of our, houses that we end up testing it. This is just a big what if, but it's a very important one because it ensures the safety and quality of our drinking water.
You know, they had that happen in Austin, big scale on a fire pipe.
Mm-hmm.
And they were using foam, and they didn't have a sufficient water supply and pulled the negative pressure and put that foam additive in the municipal water lines.
No,
And you turn on your faucets and foam.
Does it really need to be done every time the property changes hands?
That's what the council chose to do back in 2016, only because if anybody lives in that house, they have a chance to alter the plumbing or make any changes or adjustments where it would be safe.
Like, I'm just thinking, like, a person who's around, like.
Well, not what we do there with the landlord account, we don't do that,
I'm sorry.
But if it's a renter, we have a landlord account, we do the CSI to the landlord account thing, and not every single time that a renter comes in now. So,
Only on sale.
right, selling property and stuff.
So
And
what
we do
it-
have it written in our customer service agreement, with our customers, that we can do it to insured service or continued service. You know what I mean? And so the idea from there, I mean, of course, like I said, it's a hot topic. You Google backflow failures and stuff, and you'll read the horror stories of who drank what and what kind of water and what actually happened. You got stuff. Oh, yeah. But no, council decided back in 2016 to do the change, and actually it was within 7 or 8 months later, we were recognized by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality for having such stringent, water quality examinations will be in the CSIs. So
So we're protecting our water.
that's it.
Check before it gets to you anyway.
Mm-hmm. But that's what the customer service inspection's done. Again, it's new accounts coming in, accounts being named or whatever the case. So it's another fee that's associated with starting an account for water service here in the city of Lincoln. So.
All right.
Any more questions on number 2? We don't have a motion yet.
No.
Number 3, I'd like to add to the fee schedule, the tower, water tower, elevated tower, rental space, $1,000 a month. That's a fee. We'll be getting that through 3 different customers. And since we have other towers, this could be done at, and it's already come out in Poland, so I just want to put it on the fee schedule so that it's an approved fee, that anybody else comes into town, and we've already started getting a dozen more calls, we don't have so much space, that they know that's the fee.
This $36,000, it is included in your budget as income.
Yes, sir. Specifically included in the utilities other.
I had a question what that was. Okay, that's good. Good. Yeah, well, it was.
I knew it was gonna come out, so that you know.
That's what it was, yeah.
Because I don't, still it's an approved fee, I don't have any place to put it in the budget.
Okay.
All right, any questions on that before we move on?
Let's do 4.
Okay, 4. Good thing about 4. We discussed that a proposed $20 Cielo Springs specifically infrastructure fee to their monthly water bill. Water lines in Cielo cost Public Works approximately $15,000 a year. That's if only they have 3 breaks in a year. Going back to the history, we assume that's, the history. We assume that from the current. And the water lines are literally laid directly on Ronnie. I shouldn't be talking to Ronnie, turning around about digging this up that many times to have a conversation about it. There is no sand underneath, there's no nothing. And it is a big problem every year.
I don't know if anybody's aware, I believe it was last Thursday. We had the first double header in that subdivision. 2 8-inch water main breaks at the same time. That's the first in the time that we had that infrastructure. It's only getting worse and worse. You start looking back at the timeline of how long we've had that system and how many repairs we're literally putting on it, and it's just getting more and more.
It's ridiculous.
Throughout the years, yes.
It's ridiculous.
And this was an idea, like I said, Will and I, we've kicked it around, we talked about it. It was something that even the customers there in Cielo Springs, of course, nothing's been put out publicly there, but just customers stopping by during the leaks and such, they all understand that infrastructure really got to have some improvement. So it's a fee to impose on just the residents out in that area for future infrastructure improvements, and that's not going to be one of those where you're having to pay or you're having to pay for something that somebody else is utilizing, whatever the case may be.
So we wouldn't want to charge our in-town customers a fee to help fix something that's poorly.
Which you're already paying for out of their,
Right.
out of your budget anyway.
Mhm.
Now, they still pay the meter fee as well.
Yeah.
Everything else is, this would be a fee on top of just, it would literally be infrastructure fee.
And they pay a higher water rate per
They
guy,
do.
per 1,000 gallons.
What are
I mean, well, everybody besides the limits pays a higher.
So they already pay extra. We're gonna hit them with an extra 20 a month.
20 a month, we haven't sat down with everybody in the HOA, and I think we should probably before we do this. But I don't think anybody there's gonna have a problem with $20 a month. So the problems that they have out there, as far as the HOA is concerned, the board, they've got enough experience to know.
And they have low water pressure down at the end of the lines. Now they've got, it's more than just the breaking of the line. I mean, we've got, it's been a problem for as long as I've been around.
How many meters are out there?
92 currently.
92?
A full build out is 250, according to our records, but that's full build out, 1 lot per customer. Or as you know, we've got multiple lots.
This expense, this fee is not just to take care of the costs associated. Any cost that's not used to go to feed a CIP for replacement of said in the future. That will cover CIPs in the workshop. We'll have to put together a timeline of what that would be. I guesstimated around 8 years. If all we did was if it took $15 out of each one of those to just take care of the budget, the cost each year, and only $5 went in, had a few little extra times here and there, we had it in a high yield savings account that we could be close to being able to repair those lines in 8 years.
You find a high yield savings account, you let me know.
Yeah.
We should have a higher yield, right?
Municipalities get better deals than,
Private citizens, right?
yes. There's no such thing as high yield. It's say better than a checking account yield.
Right.
All right.
Okay, I did note number 5, impact fees to be addressed in 2021, budget year is what I should have said. Reclaimed water sales, we do not have did we say, oh yeah, we do have that.
It's already improved in the fee schedule in 2018.
I wrote this in there, we didn't see the fee schedule, the reclaimed water was in there, so we didn't think we had a line item to be able to charge for it, but now we do. Put in, we don't know when. When?
2018.
2018.
Yeah, you got it here. It's already filed in the fee schedule. It will be added to the revenue stream for 2021.
Okay, so big skip, because we didn't know it was on the fee schedule. I didn't know it was on the fee schedule, time I wrote it. And not to be added into the fee schedule necessarily, what will be, it's gonna be an independent, there's no set cost. Industrial waste permits, this is gonna be a very expense for each and every one. Whether it applies to one customer, it's not gonna apply to another, whether it be, I'll let Ryan talk about it. We can identify we have an ordinance already in place And it's got all the counts that we'll be able to address, but each customer is gonna have different high numbers, so go ahead.
It's all pretty much gonna be based on flow and exactly what would be potentially sending down to the collection system of the city of Waco. I know Martin was on council, you remember when we went through to get the breweries, industrial waste permit and stuff going from there. I mean, it is a big, long, drawn out process that usually has an engineer look it over and conclude and come together with all the paperwork from there. It usually has legalities from the city attorney to be able to say, under what circumstances can we stop services? And I mean, it's a pretty lengthy document, but luckily we don't have very many industrial connections here in the city, so we don't have to do it too many times. But gonna be a learning process for everybody involved, don't get me wrong. But just something to keep in the back of your mind, there will be some type of fee that's gotta be imposed on this, being that it takes so much city man hours and, you know, attorneys and engineers and stuff to look at this stuff from there. So this is probably, we're giving you an idea of what is probably essentially a bigger spectrum, but maybe we need to meet with Tom, Kirk, and Brad and say, what we kind of figured to be like just a bottom fee. You know, Brad said, hey, I would probably take me 3-4 hours to get something rolling, and we can start coming back with some type of scope to be able to say, like, you know, hey, $2,500 is not too far fetched to say, if you want to connect to the city's wastewater and put industrial waste to it, then this is the set fee that you have to pay to get the ball rolling. That's what we're more or less looking for. So now there may be the associated cost of a yearly fee after that, because with having the industrial waste permit and the authorization to utilize it, will come testing to make sure that they're still following compliance. Our testing, our sampling schedule for water, you know, wastewater characteristics, I mean, that's always going up and down there. So if we want to pick up a monetary number that would cover those ups and downs kind of thing or what, so.
And there'll be if there's a violation, then testing will be increased to that violation.
So.
There's costs that are gonna be going into that full cost structure that we have.
Okay, so you're asking us to approve that you're gonna require an industrial waste permit and it's gonna be a negotiated fee.
Sure. And it's gonna be different for everybody, only because.
Yeah, you look at the drill hill, the volume that they're putting through versus what the car wash or the wash distributor who has
Right.
high phosphorus. Our new TCEQ permit may require that to become a industrial waste permit because of the phosphorus the turf goes through there. We don't know that everything's gonna be applied to, until we get our TCEQ.
So it's gonna be staff that negotiates the fee.
Yes, along with possible engineers.
Okay, that's fine.
I think
There's just a whole lot of variables in it.
I think that's the rule, we're gonna need some engineering help, especially with big things like a real lab.
When they move the ceramics plant to town, you know, that, you know.
We need one of those,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got a Middle County industrial connection here in town. We're not gonna have to search them for phosphorus. We'll have to sample them for metals. Now, we'll have to get with our engineers to see what our metals limitation would be. We have, you know, if that cheese factory comes in, they're sending rennet down, which for a biological stuff from middle to where they're concerned, high DOD, high TSS, they're not gonna be sending us phosphorus, so we don't need a sample for it. So every one of them's gonna be completely different.
Right.
But
And then finally, water line damage.
Mike was,
Yeah, okay.
it's been one of the time around.
I've dug up so many water lines in my life that I get nervous. All right, what is our current rate? Isn't it $9 per thousand on our,
On a residential.
oh, it's $7? Okay, it's $7.
The highest, what we sell the highest rate at $25.
Right.
That's in our standpipe for pool water sales.
Yes.
Okay.
It really just comes down to how fast you reach the cutoff.
Well, if you can find it, yeah, and if 12 men can turn the valve, you know. So,
Well, you should have a drum cutoff.
yeah.
Well, that's a guess too, right?
Yes, it's an estimated number. But we do have, it's an educated guess Because we do have our metering system at the water treatment plant where we can go off of daily usage, average, whatever the case.
But this is for people that don't notify the city or do the,
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
Since this was imposed in 2018, I've had to utilize this 3 times. Where we charged the customer $25 per $1,000, and it was, I don't want to give too much information out, but real more or less just really putting 2 of them were putting up fences, and they drove through our city pipelines.
Yeah.
So they didn't have any permits, they didn't conduct a dig test, none of the sort. So,
right,
of course, we charge them for the, that's what the $500 fee, an actual fine came in.
$500 is the initial mobilization of them
Right.
to drop what they're doing and go fix the leak.
well, I don't have a problem with the fine.
2018 as well. It's like, well, if that's the case, we got a major break. And there's 5 guys now, or 6 maybe, that you're pulling off of the duties they would have done for that day to go take care of something else.
But you realize that's $25 per 1,000 gallons, not per gallon.
Right, per thousand, yeah. But an 8-inch main ain't gonna take long, so.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I feel like you get an 8-inch main, you want to start that out.
yeah. I could get a gas line, of course, so, okay.
That'll cost you more.
Yeah, okay. I would like to add, and when I guess we have a motion or whatever, I'd like it to have a caveat that this would be imposed on people that did not notify the city properly
I'm sure,
prior to their work.
sure, that's fine.
You know, because sometimes you notify and, well, it wasn't there. It was over here.
No, it always been really good, and I mean, I say, I'm sure everybody in that city office has a hand in it, but always the one that I do with personally, be able to say, hey, they did call it a dig test, here's the record, so then she'll issue permit based off of them, initially calling in to get the lines located and stuff from there, so.
Absolutely, I've heard from several people, they'll say, well, I got a call for the dig test. Well, how long is that? What they take a day, you got to, whatever, what's the correct?
It's usually 40 hours, just within 40 hours.
And they'll say, well, I know where all the damn lines are, I can do it myself. If you do,
Mhm.
get the water line, and you didn't get your dig test, because they have to call in that number from the 811. If they didn't get their dig test, we let them know. Well, we've been very specific and let them know. It's $500 fine, plus the cost to repair it, and $25 per 1,000 gallons you lose until they get it fixed. Not until you get it fixed, until they get it fixed.
Right, I got you.
Well, it's just important to say it that way. Well, because they'll come back and say, well, I'll just fix it myself then. It's not your line.
That's correct.
Yeah. If you can slow it down some, go ahead. Yeah, I know, yeah. Okay. Is this all the fees that you're wanting approved?
Designated, and I'll just put it to the point of approved,
I'll get,
Okay, so the fee schedule, I guess.
yeah.
yeah.
The fee schedule itself has a little bit of some, but I don't really.
Yeah, it does. It was ordinance number I was calling out earlier.
2020-0-011.
Yeah. And I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the proposed ordinance number 2020-0-011 fee schedule. And when we look at that, the schedule's not attached, but we will approve item number 2 on the proposed fee schedule changes, which would be the CSI fees. The item number 3, water tower rental fees for communication. Item number 4, the infrastructure fees for $20. Item number 7, for the negotiated based off user volume and requirement, and this will be the industrial waste permit. Item number 8, the water line damage fee, including the fine, cost of repairs, and water loss at $25 per 1,000. And this is provided the contractor or work did not properly notify dig test or the city.
So we have a motion, Mr. Smith, you know that, Lori?
I got it.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Second, from Mr. Ryan. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor? All right, motion passes.
Thank you, Council.
So, that concludes the new business. So Brad, do we have, things to go over in executive session?
I couldn't understand you, sir. Sorry.
Do we have things to go over in executive session?
Yes, sir. Just a little bit.
Okay, so at 7:33, we will close the regular meetings and go into executive session in accordance with the authority contained in Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, consultation with attorney, confer with city attorney regarding legal issues associated with the water treatment plant coverage bids and contract. And section 1.05, confer with the city attorney regarding legal issues associated with wastewater treatment plant permit application. WQ 00105490002. And section 1.05, conduct, and I think, the contemplated litigation, J. Benjamin Avalon versus City of Blanco, cause number D1GN 20002663, 98th District Court, Travis County, Texas. So we'll let me know when everyone is.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
I think you can more put it in there.
I got it.
Okay. Just FYI. Are we staying here?
Yeah.
Say it for that.
We can stay here.
Keep point of order.
This conference will now be recorded. Muted.
8:21, we will go back to the regular meeting. And for item number 1 of executive session, there was no action. Item number 2 of executive session, there was no action. And item number 3 of executive session, there was no action. So at this point, we will open it up to the budget discussion. Item number 1 on budget discussion.
Councilman Smith, based on the previous conversation in the last, ask me any budget question. I don't know anymore. Okay. As it is, right now, as I've estimated the budget, type of things up, we have on, this is what page that is. The page 4, page 3. Page 3. We have total proposed expenses, they're down to 4.2, 62,955.95 cents. Total income is 4.290, 848.3 million, budget overage of $27,892.35. In that, I have included the COLA, cost of living expense of 1.5%, which would be the same as federal COLA, to add the 3%, to give you the high points. 1.5% only added 18,931 to the budget. 3% adds $38,020. My suggestion is based on the year that we've had, the unknowns of next year, and being as frugal as possible, yet understanding the need of COLA and for our employees, is to stick with the 1.5, which I've calculated into the current budget. That is up to council to make that determination of which direction you'd rather go.
So, is it a line item?
So on the actual budget, yes, it'll be a line item. Which one are you looking at? It's not a line item there, it's a line item here. So,
For department.
so if you look at City Hall, it would be page 5, and under payroll expenses other, I just wrote it in there because it's easy for me to be able to adjust if you want to do something different. It's noted at page 5. That number includes our COLA for City Hall. That's not all COLA, so if you go and add them all up, there is other expenses that have just payroll that's in there, but that's where I put the COLA.
You said page 5 of 7 under payroll expense, that's what I'm looking right here?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's calculated in.
That's calculated in there, so I can give you the exact number of what that is. That exact number for City Hall
of that amount, it's actually 1468.28. The rest of it was already in there. I just added into that because that's the one that I can adjust. No, well, some are kind of more under, income up. No.
Actually,
Well, I'm looking at the profit and loss budget versus actual. And this, okay, that's for police.
I'm sorry,
Okay, I got it. This one,
that's the long one, I believe.
right, that's the police.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you run another balance sheet?
I have not yet.
Okay.
I can run those tomorrow and get those to you. Yeah, let you know when they're ready.
You know, I want to go reread that Palmer agreement, if you don't mind.
Oh, my Lord, I haven't changed yet. I'm learning as I go here. So that's, I know, that's, I won't say too much here, but that's, you know, we are,
Okay, well, that's all.
you and I both see that the same, it is what it is. I've got some,
Okay.
at the current time, the highlight point is that page 3 for our total expenses and total income with our projected budget over. That goes away very quickly.
Okay. You've got sewer and you've got, let's see. Garbage is in the water, is in the sewer.
That would be page 2 on sewer.
Okay, thank you. All right. On page 2 of 9 for sewer, and on page 3 of 8 for water, when we're doing a budget comparison, we've got garbage on both of them. Is that correct? Or am I?
that's what we discussed last meeting, where they're gonna be in both, because they were united last year.
3 of 8 water. Page 5 is quick.
Okay, on water, 3 of 8, top line is garbage.
No, it's not proposed, that's in the old budget.
That's in the old budget, but it's not the same numbers that are in the,
That's because I split them, I took them out of the other budget.
okay.
Then you, yeah.
Yeah, I know, that's,
When you're looking at the two.
well,
you can't really-
the year where we're going from one to the others,
Because they work combined, you can't really compare what's,
Right.
is in the proposed, in the budget, or you can really look at the budget now. I can roll this up to title only, it begins to make a little bit more sense, more so with theirs than the other ones. The other ones, you really need to see everything that's under there. But those two really work better when it's under title only, it makes a little bit more sense. Or it's less confusing, maybe, the word we're looking for.
okay.
Now, I hope that if you see anything between those two budgets that's crossover, let me know, but I think I really worked with Ronnie and Zach, looked at it as well, try to make sure we didn't have any crossover between the two, we got it all separated correctly. Candy just gets good and tell you what the doctor is for. Part of what we just talked about, as far as the TCEQ permit, I talked to Tom today about it, what still, he believes he only has 18.5 left to do right now, from what we know, for the, TCEQ permit. I have not accounted for that yet in the budget, I still have an old one in there, so I can't account for it, that was the latest estimate, we got that to get into that. So that's an 18.5, it's not necessarily accounted for yet. What I have to do is go through my, professional fees and see if I do that. Honestly, I think I've got it accounted for in there, but then that limits me to what else might happen. And then something else happens that we may do a budget amendment that is unforeseen happens.
Well, again, thank you for your work on the budget, and I guess I'm comfortable with the 1.5 COLA, and would like to know what other people think on that.
Fine.
Yeah, no, I think, like you said, under the circumstances, we can do more, but
We're just fortunate our revenue's been as good as it has, so we'd be hard pressed to even look at that, so.
And the range is 1.5 to 3.
Your average for COLA is somewhere between 3%. We base 1.5 off what federal government's doing, 1.5. That's really based on the conditions we had this year. We were fortunate to have it in town, and guys that we have, and I would love to do a lot more. Technically, we could do a cost of living 5 if we wanted to, or if we could afford to. But that's traditionally the range, around 3 billions. I believe last year I did 2%.
I believe so.
what are the, internet income that you talked about earlier? What's
The
it
utilities of it.
under City Hall?
No, under water, sewer, underwater, so that one's underwater. Where you see utilities other, on both of them, those are utilities other. And those are, kind of put some initials out there for, industrial waste permits, rental, tap fees, rate increases, grease tree valve, surplus, CSIs. That's kind of what, make up, some of the revenue streams that we did increases off of.
It's a very low number, correct?
And then, and if you look at that page 6 again, under capital improvements, capital improvement projects, CIPs. I noted that we don't necessarily have the, wastewater treatment plant, TCQ permit accounted for in the budget. I might have to go back and look into, make sure I've got it covered in professional fees. We have a $322,000 refund still coming from the wastewater treatment plants in the Wilmington Trust Fund right now. We're waiting on the water board to complete the right paperwork that says, okay, now it's yours. And we can hold that on. That should happen fairly soon. I'll try to follow up with Craig Cunningham tomorrow and see where we're on that. So essentially, that gives us a little bit of buffer that I don't want to come to the budget. I'd rather that be a big bonus plus to everything that we do this year. But if something bad happens, there it is. Palomino project, believe we're going to have next step. This goes into water and sewer excess of funds, so I think easily that can be paid for there. Again, that's something that we can't do until we start construction on the water plant, drop the river level, and so on. Am I correct?
Is that, is it?
Any other parameters or disclaimers you'd like to put on the Palomino?
No, just, precisely that. We can manipulate the flow of the river, to the point where our water treatment plant being down, we won't rely on the flow of the river. We'd be able to stop the flow, bring the levels down to dry out the area where we're looking to cross the river with that water line. And as much as possible, try to conduct it during the winter months where the state parks would be left affected. So, it's just, again, primarily responsible with the water treatment plant project, and we get this thing rolling hopefully by February, March, where it's in good spring weather vacation, at least get that line in the river.
Again, the discharge route and any design fees and so on, we don't know if that's going to hit this year or next year. As far as going discharge route, it may not be anything. Now the budget for 3 years. I don't know. I've got it set there. I need to find a CIP to start funding that. A revenue stream to start funding that CIP. Steel Springs, I put in there 500,000. If that's an 8-year project or less, we'll see where that goes. If we have to spend a lot, 3 times as much as we're budgeted to fix the leaks, then it takes longer to get to the.
Well, we raise our assessment.
That's definitely.
Yeah. I mean, we can do that in another 2 months.
Exactly. We just don't know. We're going to start feeding that. It set goals is what we want
Yeah.
the CIP to be before we actually start. It's just projected 8-year plan on that. I haven't completed the water infrastructure. We're looking at an account that'll come from a percentage of revenue from water and a percentage of revenue from sewer. They'll automatically go into the CIP. Again, it's going through an account that hopefully yields better than just sitting in our checking account or our operating account that has no yield. Virtually no yield. So that we'll get something so that we can grow this account so we can take on the next project. So name the project, whether it be water infrastructure being a new main that goes all the way up to College, or whatever that case may be, or whether it be a sewer main line that we've got to extend somewhere to increase our customer base. Those are what those are going to feed. And it's going to be a percentage of revenue that will go into that every year. Probably start feeding it quarterly, actually. So I'm going to look at the banking situation and see how that works best. Water storage tower paint, what do you got, 5 to 7 years it has to be painted, so we're gonna start building that CIP now. Again, that'll come from revenue sources. very easily to just be the rental of the space on top. They can feed some of that CIP. Whatever we make extra, we still have another tower that we could be renting space out to. We still have space that we could be renting on the current tower that we have. And we're getting calls every day. So that revenue could increase, and that extra revenue that's not accounted for in the budget could actually be going to this CIP, so that in 5 years we'll be able to pay all the other towers and keep them up to code. Did you say 5 or 7 years?
5 and 7 was our last recommendation when I taking inspections.
Okay. And so on, there's some needs on here, obviously the water treatment plant overage of $350,000. We have another year to budget that. Hopefully our, revenue carryover from this year will fund it by itself, but no matter what we have, it's gonna be documented, so we know what these things are going next year without having to think about it. I had to create this stuff. Any questions?
Capital improvement, there's no, I mean, I guess the street stuff we have on the regular budget, right? So we had street and parks, you have 100,000 in your street for next year, and then I think you said you're gonna do something for 50, are you still gonna do something for 50 this year?
Yes,
Okay.
we've actually gone over the estimated documentation that we from there, so we're just waiting on the schedule at this point.
I mean, is it too much to ask for a CIP budget for a major, I mean, 100,000, we're just doing, a little bit at a time, but I wish the way to get some funding to put, a bigger project, because to me, that's one of the biggest complaints we get is, the streets and.
The only thing on that is, can we use water and sewer?
Right.
For,
I guess franchise fees is really the only thing we have. And that is something we can do, I mean, that's.
definitely something to look into. I mean, well, even then, I mean, we utilize the streets to get to our water infrastructure as well, so.
Well, there's a way to do it.
Well, and the franchise fee is something we should increase. We have to look at PEC and I don't think we're capped out at, but basically PEC does the pass through on the.
Oh, I'm fully planning on making more money out of PC.
Well, it's not even, it's coming out of our customer. I mean, electric customers that live within the city have to pay that fee, so.
Yeah,
Basically,
they
it's still.
won't be mad at me.
Yeah, right. We had a PEC, but didn't realize it still. didn't approve of that.
And a crazy find, even the city offices that we pay our electricity bill, we pay franchise fees.
Right. So we pay ourselves
back. So, yeah.
Show me.
So I guess overall, so our next steps, we had, as far as, we have to have an official public hearing of the budget, right? And that's what we're gonna do on the 22nd.
Yes.
And I'm gonna start trying to get the balance sheets put together and get the closeout budget, so we'll have that by the 22nd. At least projected as close as we can within a we're near the end. Our expenses should all be taken care of. We gotta make sure we capture all our revenues to balance that out.
So the 22nd will be the public hearing, then we'll do the tax rate approval, and then we'll do the budget approval.
And the proposed tax rate and the announcement of the public hearing will be in tomorrow's paper.
Yes.
As our one public notice that we have to do.
Tax rate, and then we'll do the budget approval, and then you said you'll work on last year's.
You approve the budget first, and then you approve the tax rate after.
Oh.
We'll have it written out.
That's
Yeah.
It'll all be-
I know there's a lot of legal steps, as long as I've got the right people
Yes.
giving you the right answers.
I'll make sure her and Brad will put it in reverse order.
Right, that's
If you will.
Just a quick question here. So our next meeting won't be until the 22nd. Are we skipping a week? Are we not having one on the 15th?
I mean, I think we had.
I'm just
I mean,
clarifying.
we're okay with the budget, I guess.
I mean, we've made a lot of progress.
We have. I just want to make sure, because, I'm putting it in this.
I'm going to, I mean, if you miss me, you can always come by.
Yeah.
But I'm going to start working on the closeout budget starting tomorrow. And, I'll have the information there if anybody wants to come by or make an appointment. I'll let you know what I have in advance. I am going to, run it by Councilman Smith and Mayor Pro Tem and, let them know where we're at as fundamentally, we have a sound number for our budget going forward next year. I just need you to close out and see if we have any carryover.
So right now you said we're at 27,000 over right now on income versus,
Yes.
so you took that 18 grand that towards the.
It's there, Mark, please don't make me go down those single digits again. We worked very hard, we did, to get more than $140 in there.
So you take that 27,000 and come pay, 9th Street for it?
Well, actually, what I could do, I told you before, 9th Street will be the very last one. That's got the worst infrastructure. That's gonna cost us more to do than all of 13th, just because of what's under it.
No, yeah, the area that's out there with 9th Street, that will need complete water, at least water infrastructure improvements before we can touch the road.
Sometime around 2000.
Unless we get a grant.
2029.
Look at won't be here.
I was still trying out. Gone before we get new shit.
And then I guess the other thing that's gonna happen is, I think in October we'll have the hot funds come to do their, the rapid acting, that'll be all discussed, so just for y'all to do some preparation and education of, how it works, or it's, we do it a certain way, we tried it a different way, we get in the visitor bureau at one time, tried that, and then they went back to have the Chamber of Commerce kind of running the whole thing, so. Do some research and all that, before October, it tends to be a hot topic.
It doesn't seem very volatile right now. It seems like it's mainly settled down.
Over there?
No, in general.
What?
The topic of hot funds has seemed to settle out.
You know, I thought doing the lights, you know, for the Swiss Lodge and stuff like that, helping them, I think that was next would be the bank.
Or you know, I agree, you know, Best Western pays it, you know, they pay the lion's share of the hot funds money. And, you know, I know that they like feeling like they're getting something back for all of that tax money. So helping them get night sky compliant, that's, you know, that's an actual heads and beds topic. And that's what, you know, basically you have to spend that money on. Is something that creates.
Well,
like Lavender Festival, or just anything, yeah.
we can, there's several things, and that's gonna be my curiosity. I mean, I haven't talked to Linda, I mean, really didn't talk to Linda about some of this stuff over there, because I haven't had that conversation, but I don't know what, because we didn't have Lavender Fest, what kind of leftovers, because they've been closed like weekend, what kind of savings they have in carryover off months last year that we might be able to designate next year for historical commission, the gateway sites. The projects that they want to do on the square that have to do with travel and then visitor bureau and things like that. But that also opens it up to, what can we do to make them better?
Yeah, absolutely.
For the community, for the Hillville.
And overall, get more people, get the, you know, if we get those heads in beds, as they say, you know, that's revenue for the city. We you know, we need to,
We've got quite a few heads, beds, but.
Not
our mortgage, yeah.
we do.
We gotta replace those.
That's exactly right. That's
So the good thing was down here, we actually were probably up on that.
it actually, it ended up helping us because we were keeping those hotels occupied. When, you know, many communities, closed their hotels, you know. I don't want to get too far off subject, but we went and stayed in Kerrville, first time I've been out of town, and literally we had the pool to ourselves all day. There was hardly any other guests at that hotel. The only other people staying there were some LCRA guys who came in the evening. So at least we, you know, at least silver linings.
All right, I guess I'll entertain a motion to.
I so moved.
Second.
Motion, we have a second, all in favor? Before 9 o'clock.
Told my wife, I was like, it's gonna be a late one, honey. We've got that big budget meeting. I'm not. gonna-
Yeah, no, you were still working on it.
So,
We're doing
Meeting next week.
No meeting until the 22nd.
Party. Woohoo.
That's it.
You said that.
Sorry for the confusion.